皆さんこんにちは。最近日本から帰ってきたばかりです。北海道と東京の周りに行きました。いろいろな活動をしました。楽しかったです。日本で旅するために電車を利用しました。今日のビデオは日本の電車について話しています。The main mode of transportation in Japan is the train system. When I was in Japan, I was using the train system every single day, and I was using it multiple times a day. So I think it's important for anyone who travels to Japan to understand the basics of how the train system works. I want to be able to share with you guys about the different types of trains that you will see in Japan so that you guys know which trains that you need to go on to get to your destination. Also, learn some key phrases or words that you'll commonly see or you'll commonly hear with the train announcements, so that will make your travels much easier. There are multiple different companies and agencies that run the train systems in Japan. There are private companies, and then there are also third-party companies such as the Tokyo Metro system that is run by the Tokyo city government. But the most common train system that you will see is called JR Group, and JR stands for Japan Railways. Japan Railways used to be owned by the government as one entity, and now it's actually separated into 6 different individual groups. So you have one JR group in Hokkaido, and you have another JR group in Kyushu and Shikoku, and then there's all different ones in Honshu as well. If you are in the Tokyo area, there are going to be 2 main groups that you'll be using, which is the JR group and the Tokyo Metro. And within those 2 groups, there are different types of trains that you can choose from depending on how fast you want to reach your destination. And I'll go over those different types of trains. One of the things that I think is really helpful when using the train system is getting something like this. This is my purse here, and I have something called an IC card, an IC card. IC stands for integrated circuit. It's basically a contactless payment card system that you use. Kind of like if you live in the Bay Area, there's something called the Clipper card, where you put money in it and you can use it to tag on and off of the transportation system. So this IC card is used in Japan to tag on and off of the different train stations, but you can also use it for a lot of the bus systems. You can use it to pay at vending machines, you can pay at convenience stores. So this is actually a very convenient card to have. You can get these cards at the train stations, or you can get them at the airport. You normally spend about maybe 500 yen, which is like a couple dollars to get the card, and then you'll have to load a certain amount of money, normally 1,000 or 2,000 yen, so maybe $10 or $20 worth onto your card. And there are different types of IC cards depending on your location. So for me, I have something called Passmo, and this is a pretty widely accepted card. And so even when I was in Hokkaido, this still works. Most IC cards are pretty universal, but there are going to be places that don't accept IC cards. Like if you're in a more rural area, you'll have to get the paper tickets from the machine. Mind you can still do it the old school method, and every time you need to ride the train, just get the ticket. But I think that takes a lot more time and a lot more effort. Whereas this, you just recharge the money onto this card using those ticket machines, and then you just tag on, tag off with each time you go on and off the train. So it makes traveling much easier. So I always bring this with me with this little pass case, and I connect it onto my purse so I can just pull it, tag it, and that's it. So it makes it simple. If you're going to be traveling much farther away from your original destination, let's say you're staying in Tokyo and you want to travel to Kyoto or Osaka, normally you would take the Shinkansen, which is the bullet train, but those can be very expensive. And the way that you can make that cheaper is you get something called a JR pass. I got to borrow these from my roommate. So this one says JR Kyushu, and then this one says All Shikoku. So there are JR passes for different regions of Japan depending on where you're going to go. And you pay a certain amount of money for this pass, and then it gives you unlimited access to using these train systems for a certain amount of time. So for example, you could buy a week-long pass with JR East, which is mostly kind of like in that, Tokyo area, and it allows you to take anything related to JR or any Shinkansen, as long as it's not the fastest moving Shinkansen, which is the Nozomi, but allows you to take any other Shinkansen during that 7-day period. So instead of using the JR pass and tagging on and off, you actually just show them your pass. You should show the ticket master your pass, and you just walk in and out on the side next to the ticket gates. So it actually makes it much faster than even using the IC card. The problem is with the JR pass, it'll only work for trains that are within the JR system. So if you are using the Tokyo Metro, it's not going to work. Or if you're going to go outside of your specific region, then it wouldn't work. So it's only really worth it if you're going to be using the trains a lot in that region, or you're going to be going far away, and you want to use the Shinkansen, then I definitely recommend getting a JR pass. And you can find more information. I think if you log online, you look up JR pass, then it will give you all the details that you need of location, prices, all of that. The last thing that I think is really important to know about the train system is the etiquette, or the mana, in the trains. There's a lot of unwritten rules that you have to be aware of when you're in the train. So for example, you are supposed to have your phone on silent or have it on vibrate. You shouldn't be talking on your phone while you're in the train with other people, because you don't want to disturb other people. Another thing is you don't want to be eating on the train. So even drinking on the train is discouraged. So you normally, when you go to Japan into the trains, you'll very rarely see anyone drinking or eating on the trains, because they're trying to keep it clean. So just be aware of, how loud you're talking, and being aware of your phone, and making sure that, it's on silent or vibrate, and making sure to hold on to your food and drinks until you're off the train. One thing that's important now, especially during the COVID time, is a lot of people are wearing masks in Japan, especially in the train system, because the train system gets very crowded. I would say about 95% or more of people are wearing masks in the trains, or even just out in Japan in general. 95% of people are wearing masks. So I think it's important that when you travel to Japan, make sure you have enough masks with you, or you stock up on masks when you're in Japan, because a lot of places will require you to wear them. So just be cognizant of your surroundings, that there's going to be a lot of people who are wearing it or will request you to wear it. Another important thing to know is there are different types of seating inside of a regular train car. So most seats are going to be the Jiyuseki, which is the open seats, the non-reserved seats. But there will be some seats that are called courtesy seats, and you'll see a sign there that will show like a picture of someone who's pregnant, or someone who has a cane, or someone in a wheelchair. So people who need to be in a seat, they want you to make sure that those people will be able to get a seat. So if you ever see someone come on to the train that needs that seat, you need to stand up and let them sit there. Another type of car that you'll see in Japan is called a women's only car. It's normally designated by a pink sign, and it will say women's only. The reason why those cars exist is because there's unfortunately a rise of groping, or a lot of kind of inappropriate things that people will do to women on the trains. So they actually created a separate train car that's only for women, specifically during rush hour times, or during times where the train takes longer to stop at each stop. So they actually dedicate a train for only women to be on for certain hours of the day. So you have to make sure that you don't, if you're a male especially, to not get on those trains. If you accidentally do, the good thing is you can just, walk through the train to the next train car. There are different things to be aware of when you're on the trains, such as the type of seats that are on the trains, like the women's only or the courtesy seats, or just being aware of the actions that you're doing so that it doesn't affect other people, like talking on the phone or eating, drinking, those kinds of things. So, try to, be respectful of the culture there, because that's really important to them, to keep things clean, to keep things orderly. So those are just important things to be aware of, especially when using the train system. Now I want to share with you the different types of trains that you'll see commonly in Japan. One of the important things to know when you're finding the train in Japan is you want to find the right train that's going to stop at the location you want to be at. So the way that you do that is when you get to your platform, you'll see a lit up board, and on the board you'll see the name of the train, and the train will normally be written both in Japanese and in English. And then it will say what time it's leaving, it will say what's the last station it's going to end up at, and it will tell you what platform to go on. Because normally normally there will be a different number of platforms to choose from, so you have to know which platform to get on, which train you want, what time, and what's the final destination of that train. So you want all of that information so you can make the best decision of what train to get on. So I compiled a list here of the most common types of trains that you will see. So for the first one, in English, it is called the local train. And in Japanese, there are two different names that you will commonly see for local. One is called kakueki teisha, and then the second one is called futsu. So the translation for futsu is just, the direct translation is normal. And for kakueki teisha, the direct translation for that would be the train stops at every station. So that tells you exactly what this train does. The local train will stop at every single station on the line until it gets to its final destination. So this is normally the cheapest option, but it's also the slowest option. Then you go to the next one here, which is the rapid. And the rapid in Japanese is called kaisoku. So the rapid stops at less stops than the local. Then if you go down here to the express, in Japanese it's called kyuko. So the express will stop at even less stations than the rapid. And there are different types of expresses, but we're just trying to make it simple and just remember the word for express, kyuko, and that it's going to stop at even less stations than the rapid. Then you get to the limited, or it's also called the special express. So limited express or special express. In Japanese, it's called Tokyo. So the limited or the special express is a little bit different than these other trains. So this is definitely going to be the fastest option out of these options here, the local, the rapid, and express. Not only that, there may be an extra fee that you have to pay for this train because there is some reserved seating for this type of train. So you might have to pay a little bit more money if you want the reserved seating for this type of train. Reserved seating in Japanese is called shiteiseki, and for these other trains here, all of them are going to have something called jiyuseki. Jiyuseki means non-reserved seats. The direct translation means free seats. So anybody is allowed to sit in those seats. It's first come, first serve. Whereas the reserved seats, the shiteiseki that you normally see for the limited, special express, or even the Shinkansen, you're going to have to buy a separate ticket to get a specific seat on those trains, and it's going to cost more money. For the limited and special express, they normally have something called a green car. The green car is normally designated with a four-leaf clover on it. And normally these cars are considered first-class cars. So they're going to be more spacious. They're going to allow you to, maybe eat and drink, like they're going to sell food and drink there. So they're a little bit more luxurious compared to the non-reserved seating, the jiyuseki. So when we get to this last one here, which is the Shinkansen goes the fastest. And the thing with the Shinkansen is that almost all Shinkansens have their own separate lines that they run on. They are the fastest out of all of these other train options, and people normally use the Shinkansen when they're going longer distances. You just have to be careful which Shinkansen you go on, because just like these other trains, there are different types of Shinkansens. Some of them will stop at every single station, so they're probably going to be cheaper, but some of them are going to stop less frequently, so they're going to get to your destination faster, but it maybe is going to cost more money. And then also what's going to change the price is the type of seating, because normally in Shinkansens, there is both the shiteiseki and the jiyuseki. So the jiyuseki is going to be cheaper since it's the free-for-all seating, but if you want the shiteiseki, you're going to have to pay a little extra in order to get a reserved seat for yourself, which I would recommend to do that, to get the reserved seating if you're planning to travel far, like you're going to go from Tokyo to Osaka. You don't want to be standing for 2.5 hours. So, you can decide whether or not you want to have reserved seating or you're okay with the free seating. When you're finding the trains that you want to go on, it will actually be really helpful if you have Google Maps. So make sure you have some form of internet access, whether it's through a SIM card or through having a Wi-Fi router box with you, just something where you can connect with the internet so that you can use Google Maps to help you choose the right trains to get to where you want to go. It's not the most perfect application, but it's actually the best that we have out there. So when you look up what destination you're trying to go to, it will tell you which trains to go on, and it will also tell you the price of the different trains. So it's a good way to kind of figure out how much money do you want to spend, or how many transitions you want to make when you're taking the train. Because maybe you only need to take one train, maybe you need to take multiple trains. There will be different options that you can choose from when you're taking the train. So you want to see what your options are and then choose accordingly. And then one more thing that I want to go over is the densha no kotoba. So just words about trains that I think you're going to hear and you're going to see most commonly. So here I wrote down the 3 most common words that you'll see or you'll hear in the train station. And I have an example sentence here that uses all of these vocabulary words. So we'll go through each one. For the first one, this is the kanji character for line, and you pronounce it as sen. So this character sen can be used to describe the track that you're on, so the number track you're on. It can also be used to describe the name of the line that you're on. There's so many different types of trains, and so this can be used to describe the type of train line that you're on. Number 2, we have the word yuki, and also it can be written with this kanji character here, so it can be written either with the hiragana or the kanji. And yuki indicates the last stop that the train is going to go to. So you'll normally see that on that lit up board on each platform. It will tell you what is the last station it's going to end up at. And that's what this character is for. And then the last one is maeru. Maeru is the word for to come. It's the more humble, it's the more polite form to come. And so like a common thing that you'll hear in the train stations and the announcements is mamonaku densha ga mairimasu, which basically means momentarily the train will come. And you'll hear that a lot. So that's a common phrase that you want to, be listening out for when you're looking for your train to get on. So the sentence, the example sentence that I chose to incorporate these vocabulary words is this sentence here. So the sentence is mamonaku 3番線に快速何々雪が参ります. So what that whole thing, if we break it down, so mamonaku, as we said, means momentarily or soon. 3番線, which means the 3rd number track. Like I said, there's different tracks that each train is on, so you have to know which platform to go to. So this is telling you to go to that 3rd platform. Kaisoku, which we already talked about. Kaisoku means rapid. So here is just you input whatever place that the train is going to go to, what the last stop it's going to go to. So let's say Shibuya. So Kaisoku Shibuya Yuki, the rapid train that is heading to Shibuya. So as we said, Yuki means the last stop that the train is going to go to. And then mairimasu, that's the same word here, maeru. So when you translate the whole sentence, it means soon the rapid train heading to Shibuya is coming on the 3rd track or the 3rd line. So this is a common sentence that you will hear on train announcements. You want to make sure that you're sort of looking out for these words so that it will help you find the right train. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe and like my channel, and hope to see you guys back soon. じゃあまたね。